This week, I dig Because the Internet, the second studio album from Childish Gambino. I want to mention that I first listened to this album in the context of the experimental screenplay that he put up on becausetheinter.net. If you haven't seen the album in that format, you should check it out. This project was very ambitious, mostly because it was unnecessary. Gambino easily could have put this album out with some cool static album artwork like the average musician, but in several interviews I've heard him mention that he was very much concerned with not making a typical album, but some sort of musical experience. I think he mostly succeeded in this. The becausetheinter.net page works like any script you might read, except that it has embedded silent videos that play once they enter your field of vision. Every song in the album is also embedded, and you're told when to click on the song and play it. Each song plays and adds an extra dimension and environment for the text to live in while you're reading it. I usually don't like listening to hip-hop or any lyrically heavy music while I'm reading, but I found that it didn't interfere with my reading of the screenplay too much. The screenplay's content itself was interesting in the same way that Clapping for All the Wrong Reasons was. In fact, right at the beginning of the page, it's written that clapping is a prelude to this screenplay, which clears up a lot of the confusion that I felt while watching that video. The story follows the unnamed boy character, who makes money running a popular internet troll blog. The boy is frequently depressed, nihilistic, harsh, and unempathetic. A lot of things happen to him that would change or shake up a normal person, but he lets these things wash over him, considering life from a very detached perspective. There are also some clever references to the state of existence where a person uses the internet as a filter to experience reality and social situations. The writing is a bit rough and it reads like a first draft at times. There are a lot of side comments in the stage notes that don't add anything to the story but are genuinely funny. I don't know if these were intentional, but I like that they exist. I get the feeling that this story is coming from the same place that caused Donald Glover to write and post all of those self-conscious and sad notes on Instagram. This story does have a plot, but the theme of nothing mattering in this life gets repeated very often. The music itself is great, the beats are catchy and consistent. Gambino's rapping is as good as it is in any other project from him. He seems to put out a lot of thoughts and ideas that aren't necessarily linked together in his raps, but he ties them all together with a familiar cadence, so it all works. I found that the production and the subject matter of the album was melancholy and coming from a place of defeat, with the exception of one or two tracks. Glover seems to really want people to consume this album within the context of the screenplay, but the screenplay is less optimistic than the album, so the sum of these two components equals depression and more loneliness. That being said, I'm really glad that 3005 and the goofy stage notes were present in this project to help lighten things up.